I think we are now live. Let's just make sure at all of our normal sources here. Just a second, just a second. Still got this swivel chair, balance stool, and still having a blast on it. You can spin on two axes. How delightful is that? Okay, looking good, looking good. I'm already distracted. YouTube. What is up with you, YouTube? Almost there. There. Yes. And thank you everybody for your unending amounts of patience because we are now truly ready. I keep saying that and not being. Dope. Neat. Welcome everybody. Let's get ourselves started with some weed. Thanks to anybody who was hanging out with us watching our premiere, our review premiere. That was cool. Glad you guys, anybody was there. And now I'm gonna go grab ourselves our customary first volcano bag. If you'll excuse me. I broke one of my ovens earlier today. I have a couple of them. I think I have three. Hopefully not just two. But I dropped one and broke a leg off of it. It no longer attaches. And they're shockingly expensive for a little piece of temperature-resistant plastic, I assume. So that sucks, but it's lasted many, many years. Fine German invention. I think I've broken one other. All right, so our first bag is up. Nice. Welcome, Joseph Williams. Joseph being the first chatter here. Get the bag dedicated to him. Joseph says, "You lost your beer belly, bro. Beer belly, bro. Triple B's, triple B's, triple B's." And yes, I've lost a little bit of weight. But cool. Thank you for the comment, Joseph. I hope you are doing well. And if you're out there, I'm curious what you are smoking on right now. As this one is for you. I posted this video review like the last one on Instagram. Apparently, I'm on Instagram now. You're welcome, Mark. Big fan of what you've done to us all, Mr. Zuckerberg. Well, that was a quick bag. A very, very quick bag, which means that this next one has nobody dedicated to it just yet. Free and open. Don't get me started. Well, here we go. Bag number 2. Moving quick. Joseph says he's got 2 pounds of some mid sticky brick type and 64 grams of some Gorilla Glue number 4. I'm not a big strain specific guy, as we've gone over many times, but if there was one strain that I have some kind of fondness for, and it's probably more nostalgic than anything, as it was one of the first ones I really ever tried in a more serious capacity, would be good old Gorilla Glue number 4. Did a lot of Gorilla Glue when I first moved here. And still have a still have a soft spot in my heart for the old GG. Um, and 64 grams, that is a lot. That is what? 28. What? 2¼ ounces of Gorilla Glue and 2 pounds of some brickweed. Are you going to make some edibles with that, Joseph Williams? Are you going to turn it into concentrates? Or what are you going to do with 2 whole pounds of not great weed? Um, I would, I think I'd be shitting bricks. No pun intended. Christopher Walden, welcome back. Good to see you, my friend. Chris Walden, you came in right in time to have this bag downed in your honor. Thanks for joining us. I think the most weed I've ever had on me at one time, there was I used to buy, uh, this was actually right at the beginning of the pandemic where I would do this. I bought quarter pounds, which I think is that the maximum amount of weed you can purchase in a day in Southern California? It might be less than that. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I ordered from somebody, and even a quarter pound of weed, 4 ounces, seemed like an unbelievable amount. So I can't even begin to fathom 2 pounds of weed. If I know math, that's 8 times as much. But that is just. Joseph says, I'm going to try to smoke it. I'm going to try to smoke it. Gives off, so I've been giving cigar size. That sounds amazing. Joseph has got 2 pounds of some brickweed. And he is not going to turn it into concentrates. He's not going to turn it into edibles. My friend is going to go for the smoke it all, turn it into baby arm blunts, and go to town. You're a true hero, Joseph Williams, and an inspiration to us all. I'm curious, Mr. Williams, how long you would estimate it's going to take you to get through those 2 pounds of weed. Thinking about myself, and if I basically went exclusively to plant, how long 2 pounds of mid-grade weed would last me? Let's see. I think it would last, 2 months. Yeah, it would probably last me about 3 years, I think, maybe. No, there's no way that I did my math very poor. Anyways, Joseph said 5 months max. Well, Joseph, my hat is off to you. That is an incredibly impressive rate of cannabis consumption. I think 2 pounds. I'm gonna guess I use an ounce every other week, but I would end up using more than that because I use about an ounce every other week, probably when doing edibles and other things as well. So let's say I even did an ounce a week, 4 ounces a month. That would be a pound every 4 months. No, yeah, so 8 months. 8 months. If I did nothing but, how did I come up with that other figure? Weed as hell. I realized I missed a question from Mr. Walden earlier, who said, I don't know if you remember, but I asked to interview you like 2 dang years ago now. Sorry I never touched base. Glad to see you're doing well. Christopher Walden, that does seem familiar. I would be, if you still ever need to do an interview, you're welcome to. Send me anything you need. But hopefully you found more interesting subjects. But thanks for hanging out with us again. I'm glad you're back. Oh, and Joseph, one last question for you. Just so intrigued. And it's going to be a multi-part question. And feel free to be as vague as you'd like. Whereabouts in the country do you live? And sort of in the most offhanded way you can, how did you come across such a windfall of pot, if you don't mind me asking? Windfall of weed. All right. That is 2 bags down. Joseph, you're just here in LA and you only paid $100. Well, Joseph, I hope your boy there is your boy for the rest. Oh, okay. Well, that makes way more sense. It definitely seems like there was at least 1 0 missing from that original figure. Now that we've gone up an order of magnitude, while that is still an amazingly impressive deal, Joseph Williams, it is more in the realm of this person is more than just a good friend and is insane to sell you at that price. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Enjoy your 5 months of blissful inebriation. Let's move over to the dab. It's time for a bit of concentrate. So, do a nice small one to start on my mini nail here. Got some shatter. Nice healthy little dab there. Here we go. I forgot. Well, Joseph, as you're the only one talking at the moment, this dab is for you. Bag and a dab. Have fun. Tasty. Let's not catch anything on fire. Wonderful. Okay. Well, shit. Now I'm in very, 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 very high. Oh my god. Woo. Thanks, Joseph. You too, my friend. Baja Blast, the official drink of summer, and Taco Bell. Soda's bad for you. Don't do it. Holy dear Lord. I'm going to start having the dab sweats here in a second. Excuse me. Sorry, very gross. I still don't have a little button set up that says, I'm blowing my nose. I'll be right back. Should do that. Not capable of it at the moment, however. um, so I'm gonna start streaming a game again pretty soon. Start streaming games. It's easier. Maybe with vocal cords. Easier to kind of just let some streams go. And so I'm thinking about a couple of different options. My first love is Monster Hunter, which we streamed a bunch last year. Been playing the new expansion, but I'm amenable to anything that doesn't require lots of Twitch reaction skills. So a lot of multiplayer shooters are probably out, but if there's one that somebody knows that goes well with being stoned out of your gourd, let me know, and maybe we'll consider it. Yeah, still smoking me. Okay, bring it down. Bring it down. Wonderful. Let's see. Let's pour ourselves a third bag to sip on slowly, like a nice glass of wine. I'm trying not to talk, so I'm coughing again. Just like that. Ah, Christopher Walden has an excellent question for us. Christopher asks, any experience with dab vaporizers like the Puffco or Carta? No experience with the Carta. I've got a lot of experience with Puffco. I have the Puffco Peak and the Puffco, whatever the little pen one is. And this mini nail is also a dab vaporizer. Unlike the Puffco Peak or the other Puffco little mini one I have, they're not battery powered. It is powered through a 12-volt socket, just your standard same way my Volcano is powered. So it is not portable, but while there are major downsides to it still, uh, including the aforementioned need to have it plugged in, it is, I think, my favorite non-torch based dab thing out there. It's the most consistent, the easiest to use, kind of the easiest to clean, and the most durable, more or less, in that I've never like had the main unit break. The some of the accessories, like the necessary fitted quartz banger that I used mine with, has had some issues where like pieces, a little glass handle that you have to balance something on has broken a couple of times, which sucks because it's expensive to replace. But it is the most like actually using a big open flame, in that there is just a hot coil running several hundred degrees right here. So while it is not literally on fire, if that were to hit that cheap particle board or whatever, it's probably going to go up pretty quickly. So you do have to be careful for that. It's way more dangerous than a Puffco in that element or that regard. But again, it is pretty close to using a big torch. I think I'm done with torches. I just it's too much of a liability, especially if I ever don't live in a city again, maybe. Where if I burn my place down, I don't burn down other people's places. Maybe I'll go back to torches. But for now, I'll leave it to the mini nails and Puffcos. The Puffco Peak, though, is pretty dang good. As long as you are insanely diligent about cleaning it and maintaining it. That is true for everything that involves concentrates, so it's, it seems unfair to always harp on that, but the Puffco requires even more finicky maintenance than a lot of other things, and concentrates already are a very, messy business. SJ, well, welcome, man. I haven't hit any of this bag yet, as far as I know, so this bag's for you. Welcome, Dr. Smegma Jones. Says, what's up, Wheats? I'm at Burger King, gonna grab some food before I take a huge dab. Do you want anything? I'll send it virtually. Of course, man. I will take a, what is, the Whopper. That's the Burger King. Burger King's home of the Whopper. Some chicken fries. A Big King. It's been a long time since I've been to a Burger King. As a kid, though, I preferred Burger King over McDonald's, which seemed to make me a heretic amongst many young people, but it was better. They had the better toys, maybe. BK, man. Burger King. Do you guys remember the Xbox 360 partnership with Burger King? If I had to guess, from November 2006, where Burger King, nudie, chill, relax. Burger King released 3 different Xbox 360 games that you could purchase at the Burger King restaurant in conjunction with a meal or something for just $2 each. And one of those games was called Sneak King, where you played the Burger King and you stealthily stole burgers or gave burgers to people, but it had a distinctly sexually assaulty vibe to it. Sneak King. I don't remember what the other ones were called, but if you've forgotten your game history or you don't remember things that are goddamn 16 years old, you might have forgotten that Burger King released Xbox 360 games. Or if you never went to a GameStop between the years of, say, 2007 and 2012, where they probably had 10,000 copies of each of those for $1 each used. Fun facts. Sneaky. SJ, so to answer your question, I would like a copy of Sneak King if they still have one. And that you can send to me virtually. You just rip it. It's digital. I mean, I don't think it was ever released digitally, but it's on a disc. Find some way to upload it. I'll take it. Okay, SJ says, by the way, I had the single dosage 100 milligram fruit yesterday, and it was amazing. Ha ha. Well, Dr. SJ, I'd say be on the lookout for a review. I think the week after next, or maybe next week, one of the two, that edible you are talking about is going to get reviewed. And we'll save some spoilers of whether or not I think it is a great edible, which I 100% do for $9. But I won't tell you, I won't spoil the fact that I think it's one of the best values in weed. So you'll just have to stay tuned to hear whether I love it or not, which I absolutely do. So no spoilers. What do you want, Siri? Mr. Walden says, I totally feel that. That's why I love my e-rigs. Dealing with a torch is a hassle, but the couple of times I've used a big rig, it's a big difference. And Walden, Mr. Walden is a king bro, one of Burger King's many princes together. They're little Burger King princelings mind melding over a shit Whopper. Keep trying to come up with Burger King menu items, and I keep failing. Hershey pie. Something. I did love them as a kid so much, though. One of my favorite partnerships they ever did was the partnership with the movie Small Soldiers, that like live action animated hybrid movie. And they had the rodeo burger, which was basically just a burger but had onion rings on it. It was good. But the real reason you ate at Burger King as a child was not because of their partnerships with Small Soldiers or because you thought that their flavorless meat patty tasted that much superior to McDonald's flavorless meat patty. The real reason one, as a child, would have a preference for Burger King over any other, say McDonald's, is because Burger King had Mellow Yellow, and for a brief, glorious, wonderful, truly unparalleled moment in our shared history of prosperity and delight, where Burger King also had Surge on tap. And that's where one would sort of get their devotion to Burger King, was not from the Whopper, but from the soda fountain. I miss you, Surge. I'll always miss you, Surge. A fully loaded citrus soda with carbos, feed the rush. Mountain Dew Baja Blast is good. It's a great soda, even, but there will never, ever be a soda as good as Surge. I cry myself to sleep probably once a month on that realization. Anyways, oh, and Christopher Walden, your comment about rigs is so apt. I also hate using torches or find them to be a hassle. And more than just a hassle, they're dangerous, man. Like, straight up, they are not a thing to be handled lightly, especially indoors. My dog is still whining. And, you know, you're high when you're using them, or you will be. So it's just, it's, you know, not the best combination. I understand, you know, probably very few accidents have happened, but just, I'm a clumsy person, and I don't need that added catastrophic insurance risk in my life. My actuarial tables would say me and a blowtorch equals insurance premium should go way up, but thankfully the actuarial man never will know. At least I hope. But all that being said, when you do use them, when you do have Nudie, shh, girl, relax. You're gonna have to get kicked out. Excuse me, guys. Nudie, come on. Womp womp. Something's upsetting her. Anyways, Eminem, who is now in the comment, says using a torch isn't that much of a hassle, in his opinion. And Eminem, you are 100% right in your assessment for yourself. Like you, I have no doubt you are very competent and capable of using one. I know that I am more suspect using one. As a matter of fact, my computer speaker right here, I've had it for a long time, my beloved Logitech ZHX, whatever. It's the only thing that I've ever actually burned. And it was years and years ago. It was like maybe a month after having a torch. I just dropped it on my desk, or it tipped over, and I'm still looking at this bubbled plastic on the side from where it hit it for a moment, like 5 years ago or something. And it doesn't take much to have that go way, 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 way worse than just bubbling some plastic and scorching some cheap particle board on this desk. But and I also suspect that there are other people like me who are just as clumsy. But again, to those who are confident, comfortable, and capable of using them, more power to you. I certainly don't want to legislate away the ability to use one. I just would love a way to enjoy dabs as, I don't know, as potently, or no, that's not the right word. Because the thing I never got into is saying it is way better using a torch. It definitely is a superior experience, especially if you have somebody who knows what they're doing and heats it just right. Like, nothing I've ever used that tries to replicate it using batteries or coiled wire or whatever is 100% there. Some are close, but it's not. So, you do lose something. And that is my small rant about torches and dabs. My laziness and my clumsiness beat out my preference for the experience. GTR Zero, welcome, man. Eminem says, true that. That's unfortunate, man. Not sure what, but thanks for the comment. And thanks for your reasoned debate. And then we've got Toady. So GTR Zero and Toady popping in. Hello, guys. Good to see you. Hope all is well with you. I've had this bag here for Dr. SJ for a while. Let's power through it and do a nice small dab after we've talked so much about them for both GTR Zero and Tony. Hey, and we've got Jesus here. Jesus says, hey, homie, good to see you. I'm packing a bowl of some of the most blessed bud right now to make clouds with you, my brother. Well, thanks, man. So glad we can be angels. Well, you're the king of the angels, or the papa of the angels, or something. You are also the son of the creator of the angels. What is Jesus' God's relationship to the angels? He is the creator of all beings, so he's also the creator of angels, which are not you, Jesus. You're just both God and not God, God and his son, and a third person. But not that one, and not God. You're Jesus. Thanks for hanging out with us. Glad you could be here. I've missed you too, man. It was my pleasure taking you to the airport. And thank you again so much for the little treat. I have not yet shared that story. That is for another live stream, but looking forward to doing it again. You're the assistant manager. Not the assistant to, but the assistant manager of everything, everywhere. That's quite the responsibility. And we all know that the general manager is actually the lazy one who's just in his office watching porn while the assistant manager's getting all the work done. But the confusing part, though, Jesus, is that You are also the general manager. Never understand it. All right, I'm going to grab a dab here. And we'll add Jesus into the number of people getting recognized by said dab. Tony, GTR, Eminem, and our Holy Father, not our Holy Father, the Holy Son. Is that what you don't call him that? Jesus, J-Man, the roller of boulders. Jesus, that's too big. I'm trying not to cough to death, everybody. Here we go. It's small, admit it. Man, I've always had some real problems with the Holy Trinity in terms of understanding. I'm like all those dumb people that what saint was it who came up with the truly pointless and idiotic metaphor that but still stands the test of time that like, oh, the Holy Trinity, it's like the three-leaf clover, some Irish saint, obviously. It's like, they're three different parts, but they're all the same organism. It's like, nah, dog, they're not three different parts. It's just one thing. It really is just one thing. There are many things you could say that have three. Look, I've got two arms and a head, but you can't use that to spin your metaphor about the Holy Trinity and how they're all the same but different. But like, I just I've never understood how that weak of an explanation gets away with like people like I just literally don't understand what we are supposed to mean when we say that St. Patrick, thank you, Jesus. When St. Patrick's, said they're all three the same person, but they're all three distinct. I don't even remember the exact language because it doesn't really matter how you parse it because it doesn't make sense. But the clover, the idea that was like the closing of the book on the argument. We're like, oh, we've solved this one dogmatically. We can put this one in the Vatican. Anytime some kid comes up and goes, Father, I'm having trouble with my faith. How is Jesus both the Father and the Son in the same person? And St. Patrick could just go out and be like, well, have you ever seen a three-leaf clover? And the kid, the theoretical kid in this argument would be like, shit, Father, I have seen a three-leaf clover. You're so right. That makes 100% sense. Glad we had this talk. Please don't touch me. Is there anybody around? Because I shouldn't be alone with you. But that's just me. And Jesus, what the Holy Ghost is, of course, the most perplexing of them all. He is the one that makes used to make my neighbors in East Tennessee speak in tongues, I think, though. He's the one who would inhabit people and make them drink strychnine and handle snakes and all that fun stuff. Um, uh, but yikes. And Jesus, to be fair, your rhetorical skills are just as good as your most vaunted of orators, St. Patrick, and your explanation literally, and Jesus, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because you're here and I'm looking for forgiveness and salvation and absolution and all of those other words we use to basically mean the same thing. Um, I truly mean it. Your explanation makes just as much sense as the fabled explanation of St. Patrick. St. Patrick, you should always. There's a reason you're more famous for the snakes, driving out those snakes, which don't know if it is true or not. I assume that it must be true because it was on The Simpsons. So I can't stand the idea that St. Patrick didn't actually drive snakes out of Ireland. If that's not true, that's not a world I want to live in, I don't think. GTR Zero, I'm sorry. We are moving past it. That is my bad. It is not a fun topic. That was on me. We have the son of the leader of the, well, not the leader, the son of the foundational being of, I guess, the now the second biggest religion on planet Earth, I think. Surely there are now more people of the Islamic faith than the Christian faith. And it must have happened some years ago. I don't actually know that, but I'm guessing. So my bad, but I just he brought up some questions and thankfully he was kind enough to answer. Tony says that unfortunately the head spinning nature of the Holy Trinity is one of the reasons he has said, I'm out when it comes to organized religion. Which, fair. Jesus Christ says, talk movies or sci-fi, homie. Great idea. Let me talk some. What is a good piece of sci-fi? I kind of want to talk about this video game that I just finally beat. I talked a little bit about it before. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, something like that. One of the most just holy shit. I cannot believe somebody put this whole thing together, pieces of media I've ever seen. I don't want to oversell its storytelling or even what the story it tries to tell is, but this game took me like 35 hours, maybe 40 hours to beat, and it is nothing but plot, like 40 hours of straight plot. And how it is all arranged is just pretty incredible. It's the story of like 13 different characters, and a story that spans technically a time period from 1944 to 2188, but it tells that story in no way linearly or chronologically or by character. It does a very Lost thing where it takes this whole story, even more so than Lost, and blends it all up in every possible configuration, and you can sort of decipher it from any kind of order you want, which is a remarkable feat in writing. Like, that you can sort of explore just one path of this story, like one character's beat of this story, nearly from beginning to end, without going and doing any of the other 12 people's. There are some caveats here and there. Um, and that can make sense in that self contained little narrative. And then you get basically a chunk of what the hell is going on in this larger thing. Or you can play like each of these 13 characters, like alternating one at a time, switching back and forth as their little stories progress. And it makes sense that way too. It's really pretty incredible in that way. It also looks great. It's got some amazing art. I don't recommend it to anybody who doesn't have a lot of patience for bullshit. But as far as like sci-fi stories go, it has intentionally every genre incorporated almost to like a laughable degree at the beginning. Like every movie, famous sci-fi movie, is referenced to like an obnoxious and weird degree till you realize one of the game's many sort of shocking revelations where they pull back a curtain and say, okay, you thought this is what was happening. Now let's reveal what's some other abstracted layer to this. And that game does that consistently for 35, 40 hours. And where it ends up from where it begins is impossible to chart. And then the idea that somebody assembled this whole thing, even if it's like a big team of writers or whatever, it's just crazy that this whole thing was contained in somebody's head at one point. And then they had to figure out the way to let you stitch it all together. And I really don't want to spoil anything because it is a game that is only about that. So any sort of talk about X, Y, or Z robs you of the experience. So if a incredibly long sci-fi talky video game sounds fun, go for it. But it's been a fun experience that's taken me like 6 weeks to play through. It's like basically 4 seasons of sci-fi TV in a video game. And let's take a look at chat. Catch up here. 13 Sentinels. Jesus, I'm sorry. And Tony says, honestly, the plot makes or breaks a game for me. People talk smack, but that's just my opinion. Tony, I'm a big fan of plot in games. Like, I think plot is an underrated. I think I'm a big fan of every kind of writing in video games that is considered and thoughtful. And almost always that involves having some kind of compelling plot. Not always. There's some times where you can have a game with great writing that doesn't necessarily have a great plot, something like Inscription. But I totally agree. And 13 Sentinels, it's hard to, like, it's only great writing if you are tolerant and acceptant of, like, very anime-y tropes and you know, melodrama and all that, which it took me a while to build, a tolerance and then appreciation for. But if you don't, I would say totally avoid it. And then that is all that game is, this plot. Game with, I think it was just my cherry on top, a game with so much more plot than needs to have is Horizon Zero, no, Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden Dawn, great game, loved it on the PlayStation 4. It already sort of featured more plot than needed. I mean, it's great when it's more, I guess I would prefer it to be more over plotted and I don't know, more dense than less. And I Horizon, the first one, Forbidden Dawn, was definitely guilty of that. But it's a very simple story, more or less. To spoil a 8-year-old game or however old at this point, 7, 6. Uh, post-apocalyptic world that is, there are humans left alive in tiny little tribes that wear robot animal parts because the few things that are left alive on planet Earth are robot dinosaurs and robot other big giant large creatures. And the story of the first game is basically figuring out what the hell happened. It does get a little overwritten at points. It's more complex than it needs to be. The second game, holy shit. If nothing else, it's crazy how much money Sony spent on this thing. The amount of beautiful mocap, all, clearly acted by real people with mocap suits and stuff on, with great camera, work, not just like a static camera, really thoughtful, but some of it is for the most banal, dumb shit. It's all fun. So Horizon Zero Dawn, no, Forbidden West, the one that just came out. Horizon is the formula of killing big giant robot creatures with rudimentary weapons like bows and arrows and trip wires and slings. All of that is so much fun. It's so compelling. And then the loop that Guerrilla has come up with in the Horizon games is so excellent. Fighting a monster in Horizon is always fun. Almost to the game's detriment, because I would often just get lost in like not doing stuff because I would just see a big old robot beastie somewhere, and for no other reason than it was fun to do, I would take it down. So it has all that going for it, but holy shit, why does there need to be so much writing and dialogue and like it's almost an embarrassment of riches, because there are all these hundreds of thousands of side quests in the game that all of them have somewhat interesting stories, but there are just so many of them, and you just stack up on them so quickly, you completely lose the thread of any of them at some point. And then you have all these people coming to the character and begging for all of these help with things that don't seem to matter at all. And that's neither here nor there, but it's just like, holy shit, how much money did Sony spend? And I just don't care about helping you bury your son's bones on top of the mountain where his ancestors have lain for thousands of years. I just don't give a shit. Like, I gotta save the world, man. Dog, like, shit is popping off. I'll come help you bury them bones later. And I certainly... Anyways. Then the actual plot of the game is... Well, it's not, like, convoluted in the way that 13 Sentinels is, in the terms of, like, oh, I need, like, a lot of flowcharts and diagrams and spreadsheets to help me keep track of where all of these things are in these different times. It's not like that. It's not convoluted in that way. In the same way the first one is, and not to give any spoilers, there's just so much more plot than there needs to be in that game. Uh, and then there are, by the game's end, there are like 6 apocalyptic threats that are all sort of marinating at one time. And at some point, I was just like, I wish Aloy would be like, the main character of Horizon, be like, all right, fuck it, I give up, man. This shit's just too much. I'm done. Um, Sorry, universe, you're screwed. Because it just gets too much in Horizon. Um, it's a shitty thing to complain about, admittedly, because why would you ever complain about getting so much great stuff? But like, damn, it feels Peter Jackson in a way. Like it feels like King Kong almost. Like, dudes, like there is. I mean, not to get too far off track here, because King Kong is an excellent, underrated movie. The Peter Jackson King Kong is fantastic. Maybe one of the best, like, blockbusters ever made. But admittedly, it could use some shaving off here and there. And I feel like that with Horizon. It's just like, it's all cool. It's all very cool and fun to do, but it may have been better if you sort of whittled away some of the even less fun parts. And that is my Horizon Forbidden West rant. Tony says Westworld is okay from HBO. I still have to watch season 3, and to be fair, I also have to reread recaps from season 2 of Westworld. I actually liked Westworld season 2. I know that's where everybody felt already like the wheels came off. I actually really enjoyed it. Speaking of dense, convoluted storytelling, and needing flowcharts, I really liked it. I found it, the puzzle box of it all, compelling. It's when I heard what happened with season 3 and saw the initial impressions that just took the total wind out of my sails, and I haven't gone back. But season 4 seems to be picking up steam again, so maybe now is time. Jesus recommends that GTR 0 and maybe everyone should check out Severance. He deigns it glorious. And I gotta say, Jesus knocks this one out of the park. Severance, if you like sci-fi, especially more grounded sci-fi, more hard sci-fi, I think it would qualify. Severance is excellent. And Apple TV Plus, by the way, holy shit. One of the best values in all of media. It's still $5 a month. And there's legitimately a ton of great stuff on it. It's really quite impressive how much they turned around. Now, to Eminem's question, which I saw and couldn't wait to address, Eminem says, do you like Red Dead Redemption 2? One of the best stories, in my humble opinion. Eminem, you are a man of incredible class and great taste. Yes, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the 3 best written video games of all time. It probably is the best written video game of all time. It is not just, and it marries that incredible story with what is going on in the gameplay. So the rivals would be, in my opinion, and this is talking about big AAA experiences, not small stuff on indies, which I know I should categorize at the same time, but I'm just talking about big, like, console release games, AAA releases. The best written video games of all time, I think, would be Red Dead Redemption 2, The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, if you want, but either. And Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Seriously. And Red Dead Redemption 2 does the amazing feat that The Last of Us does less, and Metal Gear Solid 3 does less too, but Red Dead does in spades, which is it uses the actual gameplay to help tell the story that is going on. It uses what you are doing in the game to reinforce the story that is being told, especially the themes in the story. I mean, I don't want. I think everybody knows how Red Dead Redemption 2 ends, but when you realize that it's a total reverse power fantasy, that what the meaninglessness of what you had acquired, what you had spent so much time banking and accruing, and how pointless that aspect of all of it was. And it just, I mean, like, and as your character, even though should be getting physically stronger throughout the game, and as the game ends for the reasons that you and I both know, you know, reverses that whole trope of your character getting stronger to encounter the threats as they physically start to fall apart. It's just, I mean, I can't, it is stunning. It is stunning. I mean, I don't want to spoil it totally. It's Red Dead Redemption 2. You're so right. Eminem, one of the best, three best I think ever, and the best to ever make what you are doing as a player reflect what is happening in this story. That turn that happens and how it is reflected in what your character is capable of doing. It's just it's so excellent. And it's so I think that Dan Houser, the guy who one of the two Houser brothers that I think just left Rockstar, maybe, will one day probably have like a incredible biopic written about him, or an incredible biography or something, because the dude is one of the most underrated cultural juggernauts in American history. And what he writes is so it's not just Red Dead Redemption 2 that's incredible. Of course, it's Red Dead Redemption 1 that's amazing and truly amazing. But I think people don't realize that Grand Theft Auto 5 is actually a fucking fantastic piece of American satire. Like, flat out fantastic satire. This dude who has been running Rockstar is responsible for like Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption, these forces in our culture that are, I mean, they're like, it's unbelievable the amount of influence something like a Grand Theft Auto 3 has had on not just video games, but culture at large. And the guy who's done it all, and not just like created the sandbox gameplay of Grand Theft Auto. He didn't just invent, it's insane. Like, the dude didn't just have the foresight and the technical expertise and the design brilliance to help engineer what we think of as the modern sandbox game with Grand Theft Auto 3. I mean, so much of modern open world games comes from that design. Like whole cloth, like it just emerged from Grand Theft Auto 3. It is an understated thing how it's a Super Mario Brothers type situation, in my opinion. Like, so much of modern game design, the way we think about games, the way we approach them in terms of sandboxes, open worlds, springs just all together whole cloth in Grand Theft Auto 3. And I'm pretty sure he was the lead, Rockstar lead then. It was called DMA at the time, doesn't mean anything. And then, not only does he do that, but then he goes on to write, not just inventing amazing concepts that we all think about today, but then the motherfucker goes on to write, like Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the most moving and thoughtful, tragic, and like genre moving forward stories that has ever come out of video games. It is nuts. Holy shit! What a I mean, like, I've always had a man crush on the guy, and I hope at some point somebody writes his awesome, hey, dudes, check. There's this really important dude who nobody seems to know much about, and he's also not born in America. I think he's like Scottish, maybe something like that, which only makes it that much more incredible. Sorry, that was a long rant. I'm gonna go grab another dab here real quick, and then I'll get caught up on chat. Okay, let's see. Any new names out there? Trippy Tears. Well, this one is for you. Okay, one more word about Red Dead Redemption 2 before I move on and how impressive what they did is. Last thing, Red Dead Redemption 2, last impressive feat. It's a fucking prequel. Prequels are, I mean, they're the hardest to pull off. Think about how many good prequels you know. And then the ones you do know that are good usually do it by taking a big swerve, avoiding things from the movie that came before, or reinterpreting them in some way, or dodging basically the fact that it's a prequel in some fundamental way to get out of all of the constraints that being a prequel puts you in. Not fucking true for Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a straight up prequel and does not in any way shy upon, tread lightly upon what came before. It deals with it directly, although sometimes in kind of amazing and unexpected ways, i.e. the main character not being the main character of the first one, although he is a major character in it. Not only does it, not only is it the rare prequel that is actually better than the first one, it is a prequel that makes the original better. It 100% is an additive experience. Makes your appreciation of John Marston from Red Dead Redemption 1 more complete, more whole. It is the rare prequel that makes the movie that came before it an improved experience by its existence. It's enough good things cannot be said about it. Anyways, and now I am done. Trippy Tears totally agreed with your point. GTR Zero says, I'm all for the original Tony Hawk or Smash Brothers. And GTR Zero, Charlie Rico, welcome, man. Good to see you. GTR Zero, I'm 100% on board for those as well. Just because I love my storytellings and my pretentious bullshit about all that shit I just ranted about doesn't mean I just don't love grinding some 50-50s down a 30-yard long rail and then transitioning into a manual and then taking my manual down the half pipe, doing a couple quick 540 whatevers, reverts. I forgot all my terminologies. Love me some Tony Hawk. Great. The remaster, or whatever it's called, also wonderful. Still holds up so much. It's way better than I would have thought. Although I guess they did add some of the mechanics from the later games that make it a little bit easier, like manuals. And then GTR Zero, Smash Brothers is without a doubt my most played game of all time at this point. And I think you could even say that just about Smash Brothers Ultimate on the Switch. Not even taking into account the whole scope of Smash Brothers series, which I started, I remember picking up, reading about it in Nintendo Power, the original Smash Brothers on the 64, for months, being so fucking excited and being nervous, that, like, being scared that the game was going to be shitty, because I was so excited for it, and just like, I had built up so much hype in my brain, like, oh my god, all these characters I love. I think I must have been in the 7th grade, probably 6th or 7th grade, 6th grade. And then it came out, and I bought it, paid my $70 or whatever the cartridge cost, and it never left my N64. Fuck you, GoldenEye, you're out. Fuck you, Perfect Dark Zero. You're a piece of shit. Nobody gives a shit. Smash Brothers is here to stay. Until GameCube launches, and then 2 weeks later, or whatever. It's weird that Smash Brothers actually wasn't an actual launch title for the GameCube, but came out a couple weeks later. I was lucky enough to have it. Played the shit out of Melee for a long time in high school. Came in my freshman year, I think. And even played a lot of the Wii one, Brawl, but less than the others. Never played the Wii U one except at like a friend's house. But Ultimate, between my partner and I think we have, it's too embarrassing to say at this point, number of hours in Smash Brothers Ultimate. And it's just the two of us, beating the shit out of each other relentlessly. We've had some help, even some help from above getting that number up. But yeah, it is, I'm trying to think if I were to round it. I definitely have to go to the hundreds. It's more than 4. It's more than 400, which is insane. I mean, to think that I've played almost 20 days of Smash Brothers in 4 years, that doesn't seem possible. But my partner and I, we love it, so ah, um, yes, Jesus. Uh, Red Dead Redemption 2, that is an excellent way to put it, is the antithesis of the Star Wars prequels. It is the inversion of uh, episode 1. Arthur is the negative of Jar Jar Binks. Although apparently the prequels are good now, which does does everything get softened eventually? Is there no if something is mega popular and then there is a like cultural backlash, is there always the reappropriation, or are there some things that are truly doomed to always be thought of as that shit was stupid? Uh, Other examples like Michael Bay's original Transformers movie. Like, there are many people now who would be like, oh, yeah, it's this artistic, blah, 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 blah. You know, like Michael Bay, something, something, something. Maybe not the best example. But, the Twilight movies. There we go. Twilight movies. All of those seem to be having another moment of cultural reassessment where it's like, oh, actually, there was a lot of interesting stuff going on, and I don't remember the New Dawn, New Blood, uh, Part Two. I'm not trying to make fun of them. I just cannot remember at the moment. You know, mocked relentlessly at the time, look reconsidered now. Does everything have that, or are there some things that are just like beyond the pale and always will be terrible? Like, will will the new Star Wars trilogy also get its reevaluation in the future? Will it get the like the people making the positive memes and look how much it meant to blah 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 and this and that and this weird reevaluation and bizarre belovedness? I hope not. I hope things can just be bad, but I guess we'll have to see. I think the real litmus test is going to be Game of Thrones. Um, I have never, and this is a horse we've hit a few times here, I have never, ever, ever seen sustained and complete and total disdain and not even the contrarians attempting to give it its like there aren't even trolls out there trying to make the case for how Game of Thrones wrapped up. Uh, I just there's never been a such a cultural total turning of the back on something as hard and as fast as Game of Thrones. And how long has it been now? 3 years since the finale. Um, it's only worse, I think. Like there is, it is even more hated today than it was then, which is just bravo to you, Game of Thrones, for fucking up that badly. I guess HBO is gonna tempt the fate in a month with a new Game of Thrones show, but I do wonder: are there going to be people 15 years from now who go out and say, actually, man, that last season of Game of Thrones had some really great moments and some, Dany's story was actually empowering and just loaded with rich dramatic tension and was so thoroughly explored and paid off in this wonderful way. The way people now talk about how Padme dies in episode 3. It seems hard to believe that Game of Thrones is going to get that kind of reevaluation. But if you would have asked me in 2005, whether people 18 years, 17 years in the future would be fondly talking about the coarseness of sand, I would have said you're fucking nuts. So what do I know? Jesus asked, am I going to see Nope tonight? Nope, but I am going to see it tomorrow. We've got tickets and pretty excited. I have seen some some mixed reviews, generally pretty good. I haven't read too much into the mixed reviews. The brief things I've seen are he may have gone over his skis a little bit, which seems to happen not infrequently with people's third movies. So I'm excited to find out because I'm like all the other, slavish losers on the internet who worship at the feet of Jordan Peele right now, because I think his first two were both great. I liked Us just as much. So fingers crossed, Jesus. Fingers crossed that 3 for 3. Tony Day says, I'm trying to get an N64 to play Bad Fur Day. Are you familiar with it? Tony, okay, this bag is for you because, Tony, you have no idea just how good you are at questions, or no good. You just come in with the comments that you're a real clutch, man. Do I know Conker's Bad Fur Day? Do I know Conker's Bad Fur Day? Yes. And I can't wait to tell you about it. Oh my God, Tony Dace. I wonder how much does a cartridge of Conker's, how much does it go for on eBay right now, I wonder? I remember, okay, not too bad. 25 bucks. I remember one point seeing my local Blockbuster, clearancing them out for 99 cents, and they had like 20 of them. I would have bought one had I not already owned a copy. I love Conker's Bad Fur Day. Tony, great game from Rare, makers of Donkey Kong Country, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, so many N64, Super Nintendo classics. They were at that point like a second party developer with Nintendo before they were bought by Microsoft in the mid-aughts as their first video game studio purchase thing ever, before it was cool to do, and then they did nothing with them for years. Anyways, it's just so interesting that they went from lockstep Nintendo to being bought wholesale by Microsoft. And we went from things like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye and Conker's Bad Fur Day, which I promise I'll get to fucking Grabbed by the Ghoulies on the Xbox. Yikes. Took a long time for Rare to sort of turn itself around again. Anyways, Conker's Bad Fur Day may have been their swan song in some ways. The old Rare. It is a game. Conker was a character. He's a little squirrel chipmunk. He's a chipmunk. Little chipper looking chipmunk. Who I believe was introduced in Diddy Kong Racing. Also a Rare game. Excellent Mario Kart clone made by Rare, but with Diddy Kong instead of Mario. Great kart racer. I think Conker is a character in that game. And then I think they even made like a Conker spinoff on Game Boy, or maybe it wasn't Rare, but Nintendo owned the IP and somebody else made it. But there was another like kitty platformer on the Game Boy Color, I think. Maybe just Game Boy. that also had Conquer, like kids game, action platformer. Never played it. And then out of the fucking blue, just randomly, comes Conker's Bad Fur Day, a insane, just batshit crazy M-rated, hard M-rated N64 game published by fucking Nintendo, where they took this one-time beloved character, child, chipmunk, like Pixar looking dude, and put him in basically a rare parody video game. Like, it's basically like Donkey Kong 64, but like a parody of that. And it's also lots of movie spoofs, lots of Nazi jokes, lots of shit jokes. It blew my middle school mind. I just was so incredibly in love with that concept. I mean, the first boss is the Great Mighty Poo or the Great Mighty Shit. I can't remember what it was called. But you fight a big wall of shit. Of course I loved it. It was incredible. It just, and the fact that it existed at all was amazing. As a game, it's like not even as good, probably, as Donkey Kong Country 64, and admittedly, not great game to begin with. But I still loved it all the same for, I mean, I loved satires and shit. I mean, I was a Mad Magazine reader. You know, when nobody read magazines, to give you an idea of how juvenile my humor was. So of course I fucking loved it. But the most amazing thing about Conker's Bad Fur Day, Tony, Tony also informs us that the $30 ones are clone cartridges. That sucks. I didn't know that the pirate market was that robust. I should have, but I don't do the whole used game stuff, so collecting stuff, so I'm a little unaware of what's happening, even though I should know better. But $200 is the cost of a cartridge. Now I wish I could go back in time and buy all of those blockbuster 99-cent ones. However, last note about Conkers, and then Tony, this bag is for you. I gotta get this down. Then I gotta, unfortunately, say goodbye, even though it's been so much fun. Last thing about Conker, how awesome the multiplayer was. There were like 6 or 7 different, not modes, like modes is the wrong way to think about it. It's almost more like the Orange Box, the Valve set that came out in like 2007 that had Portal and fucking Team Fortress 2 and Half-Life 2 and Episode 1 and 2, all of that in Conker's multiplayer. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a capture the flag and a death match. No, they were like entirely different games in there. And one of them I still think about to this day as one of my favorite asymmetrical multiplayer experiences ever. I wish it could get rebooted in some way. It is one where one side plays the Nazi squirrels, the other side plays, excuse me, I mean, this is clearly what the references were, the Jewish, Nazi teddy bears, and then the Jewish squirrels trying to escape, and the Nazi teddy bears were trying to shoot down. I guess I can see why this hasn't been redone. I can see this now. Are trying from high vantage points to prevent the squirrels from escaping. And the squirrels have to get through like these mazes, and they have all kinds of ways of avoiding the sight lines of the teddy bears trying to gun them down from afar. And so you have this great asynchronous battle where one side is just trying to get a perfect shot on somebody through all of these various obstacles, and then the other person is trying to anticipate where the sniper is and trying to, time themselves in between shots. It was awesome. It worked so well. Everybody I played it with, and I played it for years after, like, I had a PS2 for 3 or 4 years, and I would have friends come over, and I know this is on Xbox. We would put Halo away for a little bit and go back to this mode on Conkers every now and then. Is how much we loved it. I forget the name of it, but it was awesome. I feel like more games could borrow from it now. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Great question, Tony. Awesome multiplayer modes. Love it all. Will do, Jesus. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that, man. And I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tony, GTR Zero, Charlie, Heavenly Father. It has been a blast. Probably won't be back until next week, but we'll have more reviews out next week. And I'll definitely be live streaming then and some more days as well. And I hope to catch some of you guys then. Until then, stay